It's been it's like, okay. Pardon me.
Hello, what? I do believe we is live. Yeah, well, it was Kevin's. That was rather relaxed, wasn't it? Okay, yeah. What? Very chilled. Welcome. Good day. Good tidings. Grand tidings. 27th of December. Crimbo Limbo 2024 end of year show with myself, Kevin, Anders, and Albert. Would you like to say what's up, boys, gentlemen?
Hello.
What's up?
Good evening, everybody. Hope you've had a good Christmas and you're well.
Yeah, sure. Everything is fine here. No snow here in the southern part of Sweden. 5 degrees Celsius warm. So yeah, I'm wearing a sleeve.
A bikini.
Man, Kimi.
Where's Albert? He sloped off. Look.
He's posting away.
Oh, fair enough.
So he said.
Just having a look. Oh, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
Posted.
James is well. Hope you're both well and had a good Christmas. Leave my rights alone. Good evening.
Lisa, talk to us about Anchorage. What do you know about Anchorage? I'm being drawn to Anchorage, the triangle in Alaska.
Oh yeah.
We just watched a documentary on that t'other day. Quite scary. And,
And we have Lisa live and near the scene.
cup of Java. Oh, yes. Very nice. No, I've posted it in that group. I'll go on to FB. Yeah, make yourself comfy, get a brew. Welcome. Cup of cocoa, marshmallows. What? We're going to just have a casual chat, a recap of the year, the state of play where we are at this moment. We'll answer some questions. We'll recap the basics because we find that we was doing that quite a lot still, and it's always fun to do. So, and what we have in the way of remedy up to this point, which is quite a lot when you sit back and make a list. And we talk about governance. A lot of people are quite surprised when they get pointed out to them the tierages of government, such as judicial, administrative, legislative, financial, religious. Even your partner can govern you, your soulmate, your common law, other half, aggressive, passive aggressive, such behavioural tendencies. So yeah, it's interesting when you look at you when we talk of sovereignty and try to defend those that make a point using oxymoronic terminology, like the way we talk about the rule of law. It's, in itself, the system is puts itself in ways which are paradoxical, which are double speak, which are oil and water mixing, having your cake and eating it. Yeah, it's very easily a confusing state when the subject matter that you're dealing with in the first place is anything but desirable, perfect, or even in a logical sense. The inclusion of Latin, is just a bit of fun and necessary to point out certain things. Quantum, grammar, syntax. That was fascinating in itself. I'm not on about David Wynne Miller. I'm on about the actual energy that letters convey. That Bernie was talking to us about, Kevin. That was, the power. When we say remedy, and the knowledge that we have, and we recap on a year, we look at how we're possibly going to survive 2025 and the rest of the future between us with the president, administrative directorate in with the Labour Party. We'll leave that towards the mid till the end. You know, the small talk actions by the everyday soul, fathers fighting, parents, mum, dad, the settlers, the creators fighting, the judicial system, the single justice procedure, family courts having to be forced to not use let me just get the exact wording for you. Yeah, because this is something which is unregulated experts appointed by family courts in England and Wales have caused harm to children by separating them from their mothers and forcing them to live with and have contact with fathers accused of violence and abuse, according to a new study by a UCL researcher. So the subject matter and the topic of which I brought that to you from this website, ucl.ac.uk, is not so much what we need to talk about, but just in general, the fact that parents are alienated by unregulated experts appointed by family courts. I've personally, myself, this soul has been affected, a baptism of fire, with trying to get access to my young stars and spending 2 years and 20 grand doing so in the court. In any other administrative high court, crown court scenario, he who makes the claim is duly obliged to provide the burden of proof. But when mum or dad makes a claim, either or, against the other, the courts kind of, because of the protection needed for the children involved, they act overzealously at all times. So it might start off as something like a good idea to play a little game and use the children as weapons against the mum or the dad, vice versa. But what actually happens is the state says danger, danger, and they step in, and that little trick move you tried to make to get one up on the other ends up with the children then being put in an undesirable situation. But it's just, yeah, it's taken a while. It's taken a long time, but remedy comes in many forms, not just getting access to a TDA account and untold wealth and riches. I yield.
I'm just going to say to Lisa and James, if everybody could send love and prayers James's way over there. Looks like he's just having a bit of a rough time of it, some kidney problems and stuff, and was air vac to hospital. So, James, mate, I hope you're feeling better. I hope you get well real soon, and we're all thinking of you, mate. Much love to you.
Yes, Kevin speaks for us all on this occasion. Helicopter trip, though. Ooh, how fancy. I know the circumstances are quite less than desirable, but wow, yeah, shows you the seriousness of that. Anchorage is one crazy city. It seems it is. I want to have a day trip there, maybe a weekend, Lisa.
We
Weekend trip, do a little on tour, going live, Reckian, message in a bottle. Lot of suspicious activity, missing persons, and such things as Anchorage, Alaska. Blaze channel, the Freeview channel, Blaze had a whole day. It might have been Christmas Day or Boxing Day on UFOs, revelations. I was overdosed building some counterfeit bootleg aliens Lego from AliExpress because we spend it when it's this festive time because our last Hungarian we go to over to see a brother and sister. They have Hungarian TV on, they get together after we've all eaten and stuff, and in the evening I'll sit with them sometimes. I can decode it and I know enough now to join in, but I thought I'm going to get some Lego. I've got an obsession with the car ships. I collect the memorabilia from Aliens and the car, the drop ship, Aliens 2 to be specific, the Nostromo. And I got some nice little collections of 760 piece Aliens Predator Lego. So I was doing that, and well, they were all chatting and withering away, like, but I had a nice put my head to that and a nice calmer afternoon doing that, and that was on in the background. Um, Funnily enough, synchronicity. there is so much disclosure, official National Archives, this time of year, what it actually is, aka Saturnalia, the sun, the equinoxes, the solstices, the sun stopping on the, if you've seen Zeitgeist and the Zeitgeist addendums and so forth, which many of you will have and you are aware of, then it does become rather comical when you hold knowledge that it isn't secretive. It isn't, what would we say, a cult or in any way, but it is a cult in some ways. But it's not that we believe because we know. And, we have an answer for everything. As I've examined myself over this last year, some people have said to me that, about my character, job interviews, new bosses, feedback from agencies. I've done a lot of analytical analysis as well as searching, soul searching, meditating, thinking about where we are, what we've got, what direction to steer the craft in, and how we are best formed to get remedy now that there is a disenfranchising of the church and state. And most of you already know that the underpinning for splspro.com, Indiglo, this channel, what Kevin I and as Albert do, involves different layers of jurisdictions to underpin and obtain to repeal or to get redress or to point out failures of due process. So it can be legal, it can be administrative, it can be to do with data protection, it can be to do with lack of duty of care. It can be an infringement on the governance of the legislative arm of government and the codes therein, their own rules, which they breach, which they break. So in the court scenario, we noticed that it's the KJV 1611 and the verses within that, inclusion of that for sovereignty, Genesis 2:7. That's one key thing that we brought to you in the form of remedy when you want to define yourself as a non-legal person and not as the straw man and the all caps. We told you about the fact that you're doing business as, that you have, according to the state and the court system and the King James Bible, a person. You are keeping a company, doing business as the all caps name. That is your company. That's your legal personality. It's also known as a legal fiction. It's many things again. So there's different tierages of law and jurisdiction and ways to seek remedy, find that remedy. And we point out, we have knowledge, we have everything's underpinned by either experience, skin in the game, or information which is freely found within the public domain. And then we'll bring you testimonies and evidences to that and let you walk away. We never tell you what to do. We bring and we present and we let you meditate on it and decide yes or no. And if you have questions, and we're here and we're live direct to answer them questions. So there is a great amount of success within the 15 plus years that we've been doing this collectively within SPLs and Indiglo, and in the circles that I frequent in. It is a credit to us all, and now it's about taking what we've got, well, how we can defend our true selves, our authentic beings that reside in the private. We refuse to be included within the general public, so this is the ultimate beauty of where we're at and how we will be moving forward in 2025. We have the trust technology we brought to you to supplement the common law narrative that we already were aware of. And what else was interesting? The language, the complete analysis of that, the rhetoric, the vernacular, the UCC, the ecclesia. Yeah, it's just sorry. It's intense. So we've got a lot of remedy there with the Bible included for those reasons of these administrative courts, which they will help recognize. So anybody tries to discredit you, you would require of them the proof of that. Otherwise, what you say is said. An authentic being to them. What I will say is a surprising statement now is that to the system and to the courts, you will be classified as a private citizen. Now that may sound as something that you would reject, but that's your way out. That's how they classify someone who's not a public person and is attached, afforded the benefit of the fines, fees, and forfeits by the way of fines and punishment to do with the trustee position, not being in the beneficiary position. So you've got liabilities that are afforded. So when you create joinder with that name, then you are accepting them liabilities because you are operating as a company in the public. So this is why we talk about the private as well, and why you can escape you can mitigate the charges brought against your public person by using and implementing the private person, which is your name, your date of birth, and details of your person. So it seems that that needs reiterating and re-cementing a little bit and explaining that it is a real existing orthodox, recognised, implemented law society issue. So the avenue to close down and to let others reflect and to read the room, the remedy that we had heavily relied upon the KJV, the King, the Lord Spiritual, Lord Temporal, and the Church. And then recently, within this year, the disenfranchising and disembodiment of the Church and State has royally fucked shit up. Pardon my French, in the form of seeking remedy and how we will do that. So a little tweak is going to be made, and then we'll put it to you. It would be the Lord Chancellor, I imagine, who gets the remit of the Lord from the monarch to the Chancellor. I yield anyway, Kevin, Albert, Anders. Sorry for the rant. Just set the preface. Hello. Everyone's
Hang
muted.
on a sec. Be back in a sec.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a sore, raspy throat as well, so I will apologise for my monotone. I'm not my usual fruitful self. A little rasp, a little burn. I can feel a little chesty. You know the one. You know the one. Be careful of the company that you keep. Chippy Paul, how you doing? Eric,
Sorry about that.
how was your holidays? What have you been doing? How is the fam? Are you all good? Let's talk into the microphone. Hey up, Kev.
Yeah, sorry about that. As that and just giving me a call, so on the way back from my brother's. So
All right.
obviously it cuts everything off, but I have to answer it because it's the boss. Yeah, Chippy Paul, how you doing, mate? Happy Christmas to you too. Jerry, I did stick a message in there. I'm sure you saw it. Who else is in? Dorian Gray, good evening. Nice, Paul. Excellent, mate. Fair play to you. Sorry about the cat. You can probably hear.
Very quiet. I'm waiting for others to chelp up. I've done enough ranting. Looking forward to 25 to see what's happening. Keir Starmer stepping up and imposing all of these extra unknown surprise additions to the manifest that they initially started off with. And how they're doing that, it just goes to show you that if there's any Star Wars fans out there, and in particular, if you've watched Andor, is it with Andy Serkis as the prison leader guy? That might jig your memory if you've watched it or not. Yeah, it's quite a nice little modern day take on slavery, good old fashioned slavery. And in there are some choice quotes about the empire and its restrictions and how it's imposing itself across the galaxy. And it takes over worlds, and they have to do there's like the Grand Inquisitor. I don't know if most of you might be aware of some of the Star Wars characters and the macabre, clandestine, nefarious like tones that it takes sometimes, ruthless in some instances. So you'll see that there's some choice quotes. One of them was, that one of the slaves, one of the rebel alliance, said that the empire has had its hands round our throats for so long, strangling us softly. So it's been that long that we've actually begun to forget that we are actually being strangled. And now, with the changing from Conservative to Labour, and the inclusion of the surprise actions that are being taken for the good of the nation to for this black hole deficit, when really, when you know about credit creation and central banking, there is no black hole deficit because we could just have a debt amnesty and start again and go digital and be fair. But the oligarchs won't have that, and they must have, there is a clear way out of this, a very simple, logical one. And Bitcoin and crypto showing you that, so. It's and or slavery, very much in your face. Rome, what was it, Clark or Orwell? What's the future going to be in 100 years? Imagine a Roman soldier stamping their foot on your face was the answer. One of them gave 1960, might have been Clark. Arthur C. Clarke might have been. So yeah, we're heading that way, and we are willfully paying for our own demise in some ways as well. So there's that much governance. Like the government doesn't have a building. There is Parliament, there is Lords, and we have recognised places of business. Yes, the House of Commons, but the government comes in the administrative form. It comes in the legislative form with the codes that we know as statute acts and etc. And it comes in a judicial format, the three main primary ones, but we can't see that, which is why we've had to focus on the areas that we focus on. And that does include language, that does include letter writing, it does include certain things of which I was mostly shocking at. You have to improve on those, but how you talk, how you write the words, how you hold stuff back, and don't reveal all your cards all at once. How we're not obliged to, we have got a massive amount of remedy. Kevin's work alone, what he's doing with DWP, he came up with the Perla the other day in conversation about how they had circumnavigated not circumnavigated, but pointed out the bureaucracy within their own regulations and merely said, so if that's the case, in fact, I don't want to ruin it, Kevin, would you like to share your latest revelation that you had with the wordings and language, why it's important and what you did? I think you're muted. You are muted.
Hello, sorry about that.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm just putting something together to do a broadcast on the Telegram channel, covering all this. But we just happened across because we're helping somebody, and it was this. They used this particular part of the Social Security Administration Act. So we went and had a look. Oh, actually, that's a lie. They were kind enough to sort of directly send it to us. So it was very interesting reading. Basically, it says to the effects of um, the Secretary of State can request that you submit or attend a medical assessment, or anyway. So the first thing that jumped at us was, well, then we need to see the request that was made by the Secretary of State, in my name, because that's what the legislation says. The Secretary of State doesn't say agents, doesn't say people working for, doesn't say other people in the department. It says the Secretary of State can ask. So the first bit of fuckery is, well, can I see the request from the Secretary of State specifically naming me to go through this process? But if you read it further down, in the same section, it clearly says medical assessment. Now, when you speak to the agents, you ask them if it's a medical assessment, and they'll tell you no. And they have to tell you no because it's not medical assessment. But the legislation specifically says medical assessment. And then we've got some even more recent info on the UC50, which is a lot what a lot of people are dealing with now, the universal credit form, and there's language on there. And so what I'm just waiting for is I'm going to the British Medical Association. I'm going to send them a request to define healthcare practitioner, medical practitioner, an absolute definition from them, just to back everything up. But yeah, so I'm going to do a little broadcast just on that. Yeah, I have put it down for the 3rd or the 10th, but realistically, it's probably going to be a little bit longer than that. Not much, but yeah, just want to put all the ducks in a row, and it's just info that can be used, and it's picking apart their precise wording because we know what they're like with their precise wordings. So it's picking apart their legislation word for word, basically, and saying, well, that's what it says specifically. So anything other than that, and say that's why we need to I want a medical definition from the BMA or even, what is it, the GMC, General Medical Council, of those two entities and see what they come back with. And then, because I say, I know from experience, if you ask Atos Maximus, Capita, is it a medical assessment? Whoever's trying to assess you, they'll say no. And as I say, so what we've found is the legislation specifically says medical assessment. If they tell you no, then you don't require it, do you? Under their own rules. So yeah, but so just waiting for clarification on a few points, and then I was going to speak to Anne to see when it just. I don't know how we'll do that. Whether we do it through this again, Dave. How did we do it? Yeah, we did it through this last time, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can always, if that's all right with you, you don't have. Well, I suppose you wouldn't have to attend, but it's not going to be that long. Maybe an hour or so. But if there's any questions, it's just more info that people can use for their own benefit. And yeah, it just sort of it happened upon us.
It is key sometimes when we look at it, just slow things down and look at you. We often can miss areas of key defence by rushing ahead for the battle. So it does, and that's coming from me, Speedy Gonzales, the Mr. Jibber Jabber, So it does show you that over the years you must learn, you must address, you must improve, be a better version of yourself. You can say I've got ADHD, Asperger's, autism. They could make all the excuse. It doesn't matter. You're still you, and you still would like to improve you. So the labels need to be put to one side, or the abilities, disabilities, less abilities, able, less able, disable. It is a state of mind. Someone put something like that in the chat. Then reading about 7 pages to describe that the state is in the mind. Very philosophical connotations on that one, but yeah, we are quite aware of self, inner self, spirit, energy. The car, like the Egyptians would describe it. So we have created an evidence of life and essence, which is an e-life form for authentic being. So when we provide remedy in our way by telling you that you are always existing in the private by being in the private, we talk about law, but it's more of a philosophical, spiritual question, and obviously theology will lean into it, because it's about creation, created, who we are, how we became, how we are here. References from the Bible are necessary because that is the source of authority for the Law Society, Londinium, Templars Law Society. They have made it that way, that we're not advocating that as a true depiction of history. In fact, it's your gateway out. So there is a pathway for that. But souls, spirits, energy, state, Dr. Masaru Emoto, Messages from Water is a fantastic journey to take. Looking at Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, if you must have listened to Rudolf Steiner by now, and other such, Alan Watt. It is very interesting looking at Edgar Casey and how he did what he did, the world's most famous sleeping prophet. It is possible. There are some things out there that do make you go, not just badass politicians and presidents and people holding Bibles, pressing red buttons, launching rockets, saying in the name of God. Very confusing. I yield. Oh, but what are you saying? You're still here.
I'm still here. Yeah. I haven't got much to say, mate. Yeah. Our world's a shit show at the minute. Yeah. Like, to be honest, I've been out of the rat race and no one's writing to me. I like it. So
Just to have on it.
yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We shall see what comes of the new year. So even I hear they're getting that desperate now. We've got a grocery tax or something coming.
Oh, excellent.
And hearing you guys, I went on a tangent, hearing you guys talk about Secretary of State and all that, because legislation starts with that by Secretary of State giving the powers and all that kind of thing. But I found it, Dominic Cummings was doing some interviews and whatever. No, he's not probably one to be trusted. But he was talking about a private Secretary of State, someone who sits in the back and no one knows existed. So I was just looking for it. I found it. So I shall give it a further look and post it. Yeah. Because private-wise, Secretary of State, I don't know what his role is because obviously it's not discussed. He's someone who's, no one talks about.
They keep chopping and changing. That's why. And I think they don't. The part of the reason why man gave up arms, the right to bear arms, was like a social contract that was formed for, in exchange for us not having guns and artillery, firearms. We require from you stability and security, amongst other things. These are the two main ones in the social order. And we've got no stability and no security and no firearms now, so we are in a bit of a shit show. But that's something else which has been breached, when we look at mistrust and the state of how things are, security or lack of security, stability, honesty, transparency, integrity. Wow, yeah.
What is the first thing you are thinking about when you are thinking about the gun laws? Is it that, wow, I would love to have a gun home because it's cool? Or is it because I'm going to protect my family? Or is it because I'm going to blow those politicians' heads off? What is it?
Bearing in mind we're live on Tube, yes, I will answer
Yeah,
that.
and them little AI robots coming along, listening to what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
But no,
Yeah.
the principle is like it is written in the American Constitution, the right to bear arms. So if the government goes anarchist, turns against the people, then the people can defend themselves. That is what is written, that not verbatim, but paraphrasing, something to words to the effect. So if we had our own form of in self protection and we gave it up, then that really happened and it's a real thing. So it is imperative, it is key and critical for us to mention that we swapped certain amount of security, home security, safety in the form of firearms and etc. for safety provided by the state, and now the state's failing, and we haven't got the right to protect. Well, I'd say we've got the right, we just haven't got the authority anymore. Well, we know we've still got the authority, but we haven't got the licenses. Yeah, you see, and you need a license for that. So very crafty what's transpired, but teenagers in England are carrying blades around with them because when they get caught with them, they're saying they don't feel safe. It's not like a sovereign free man on the land, like articulation to argue, for the sake of arguing. It was just reported in the mainstream, about the fact that youth of today are getting caught with weapons on them, and some of them are actual like 10-inch long razorback. They're not just little pen knives, they're actual Rambo knives, or they had another nickname for them, and they've had to ban them off the internet, supplying them to England, and where they were coming mainly from abroad, unregulated. And I'm like, what? The children are carrying 10-inch razorback Rambo knives, or I'm like, what is it? Yeah, what this is. And so when we look at instability, insecurity, people crossing the channel, UK border force, regional crime, national crime, crime within the Met Police, it's wrong. In the public domain, there is many and various arguments that we could make now to say, I think it's about time we actually accepted that you lot can't clearly do what you say you're going to do. And we now, while we're here, yeah, we'll have a debt amnesty as well. We have the technology and the power and the means to do so, but we're not allowed to because of the governance from higher invisible unseen forces. And this is what we're constantly going around in circles with, They call them the Freemasons, call them the Illuminati, call them the Bilderbergs, call them the Davos members, call them the fucking skull and crossbones. There's too many of them are all in unison with one another in the Club of Rome. So it's better for us just to get out and sidestep. But the unfortunate thing is, going to the private and getting out yourself is great, but still you are forced to be governed, and you will be governed because of the way that things are nationally and globally for everyone else. So it is within our combined collective interest to look at reforming the complete mechanisms that are regulating and governing us, even from the private. There are still tentacles that reach over from the public commercial sector, of which you will be affected by in some way. So it's and if it's good for one, it's good for all. The remedies that we've put forward, the arguments, how to retain one's rights. And why you would retain your rights. What are your rights? Are they inherent? Are they innate? Are they divine? Are they inalienable? Are they unalienable? That's a whole subject and show there, to be fair. How you defend and retain rights, and the correct way to do so, not to be forced to be compelled to perform to contracts which are not, brought to you cleanly, honourably, lawfully, with full understanding and knowledge. And otherwise, they're not valid, which is why they invent these legal loopholes known as agency relationships or implied trusts, constructive trusts. They sidestep morality and ethics with things that. So, like, an example of that would be forced slavery is illegal and it's obviously unlawful, but voluntary slavery is legal. We would still say morally and ethically in principality it is unlawful as well. It will always be. It's slavery, no matter what form. It's wrong. But if you volunteer for it, the legal system then allows that because of your ignorance, because of your not so much ignorance, but desperation. When you submit a job application form, what does one do when one submits something? What does a wrestler do, or someone in a sports game that cannot continue? They will submit. You give up, and then you look at the word, the etymology of that word, so forth, and have fun. Salary, the word salary originates from salt, because in times the Roman soldiers were paid in salt, not money, not coins, not gold, not store credit, not IOUs, not tax credits, but salt. So sal, if you research on the internet on these various domains, so you get a fair spread, but you will find salary, the actual Latin word for soul, anyone, solariumus or something. There you go, which is where salary comes from. Obviously, we've discussed the sun, saw likenesses of coming from with Santos and Josh X back in the day. There's other significances there, but again, salt of the earth, worth his weight in salt. It's incredible what payment is. You know, we work out what value is. What is of value? Often you get things you value, you treasure, and they don't cost you anything, like information when you pay attention. That seems to be lacking these days as well. You know, where we're at, what level we're at, what the youth are at, what our young stars are at, how we can disseminate this information so others can grasp it competently, articulately, and use it to their advantage. We've got to trim down 15 years of waffle into an hour. I yield.
No, but I see it quite easy. Like, if they put an organization number on us as persons, then we should be able to run our persons as a company. With that meaning that, for example, here in Sweden, you only pay tax on your profits. So if you are running your own person as a company, then we should only pay tax on our profits. But a salary, I can't see that as a profit. If you have a salary, what you live on. It is only if you, for example, buy a car and sell it. Yeah, then you make a profit, or something. But that would be the easiest way. But why can't we be under those rules when they form the company after our person? That's why they do it. So they have an artificial person that can do all the work in the company, and that one take the responsibility too. That's the thing. So if you have money, then you can buy one. That's the meaning. You can buy yourself out of tax, out of sin, because you're coming through the court system and everything. That's how I see it. So, but why can't we be treated as a company? That's why I can't understand. Sorry for my rant here.
Well, that's good. We do point that out. We have most countries do have an identity document, a foundation identity document. So that is a company. That is here a legal fiction, a legal personality. So that's our company. So yeah, why can't we be treated? You would reference. We do try to mitigate and reference certain claims and charges that are made on our person to our person, and that is a key out. That's why ultimately you could surrender your person back to the state because whoever creates it does own it, and then you would require alternative provisions from the establishment in the form of capital gains made that they've made commercially on the back of your person while they've been custodian holding the document, the gold bar that Mum gave the registrar at the point of general registration. There's been investment and reinvestment and capital gains made since, the basic premise, because we're in bankruptcy and we understand monetary economics without having any degrees or being able to be a source of valid information for you to take financial advice from. We have a good enough grasp, and we've got the Albert of the Matthews clan as well. So we do understand money, credit, cash, intrinsic value more so than anyone. So we can actually definitively say that society commercially is run on securities and securitizations and charges and persons, and a person can be a company. A person of significant interest for a company was a company on Companies House. We've seen it with our own eyes. It isn't just, sovereign freeman on the land, etc. Wishy-washy. We think again, it's incredible. So you can implement that instrumentation. We've brought the human rights do have a reservation there for every human is afforded the right as a person. to be recognised in front of the law as a person. So, in an interest of equality, and especially in the days of LGBTQ and people identifying as whatever they wish to identify as, then if I and Anders and Bert choose to identify as man, and Kevin, sorry, as well, as man, then you can't discriminate against us for wanting to identify as man. In the Bible, there is man written, you know, so we are living souls. We're not freemen on the land, and neither are we sovereign citizens, authentic beings. And we have a person, and we recognize that we have a person, but it isn't in our what would we say? It isn't within our codes. It isn't within our spiritual, religious, philosophical, or social belief system to be a person. We have the right to, we respectfully decline. That is always going to be the property of the state. We're doing business as that person. We require alternative provisions for that person and that person's involvement in commerce, bank loans, credit cards, taxes, all of the attributes that get charged to that person, and the investments, subsequent investments on the Securities Exchange Commission from that, and all of the activities. That's what we're talking about. That actually is of a. That's like the bonus part, moving to the private and being recognised to be in the private without any public duties and liabilities associated with it by default mandate, as it is now, would be the mission. Anything subsequent following that in the form of possible financial monetary gain is just a fucking bonus, isn't it? I yield.
Yes, but isn't it like for example, here in Sweden, if you have a company and you are paying rent for that company to have an office or a workshop or something, then you can take off all those costs. You know, you've been using electricity, then you don't have to pay tax or anything of that at all. And that's why I'm thinking, why can't we be a company? Why do we have to just be registered as a human worker? You know,
That
I
human
mean,
worker is recognised as a company. It's a legal instrument. It's a 2D format, so it is spiritually not alive. So it is a company. We can pass that liability on to that piece of paper, that our legal instrument, our legal person, our legal fiction. The United Kingdom of Great Britain is in fact a company, so it has to operate under the rules of the Companies Act. That's another part of remedy that we brought to you many years ago. If you're dealing with a company and those agents in office and principals in office are also a company and they've got Dun and Bradstreet numbers, then we use that against them as well to govern them and to limit their powers of their discretionary powers. Because they work for a company, they're upheld to operate as those codes say. We don't recognize them as governing us, but they will govern our person and the company that we have, our legal fiction, our legal personality, the name. But you can also create a company, a private limited company, and you can go in and set something up and play the game yourself, like many do, and many are very successful at it. And many of them aren't millionaires. They borrow money, they get into debt, they acquire credit, they invest wisely, they set up legal entities, they set up off foreign offshore tax havens, they get a good accountant, and off they go. And they're very successful at it. It's not something that is secret, you
no,
know.
but I mean, we don't have to do that, David, because look at how much tax we are paying as a human resource compared to a company. Just compare how much difference there is in the tax. As a human resource, you're paying nearly up to 85% because you're paying tax on tax and you buy with the tax money and there is tax on everything. So I don't think we have to go the whole way to not pay any tax. If they was just treating us as companies, then we maybe come down to 20%, you know, something like that, and that would be heaven for most of the people, you know. I don't think I don't I'm not looking for a life where I'm not paying for anything. Of course I have to pay for it, you know. so roads can be travelable and things like that. It is just my thoughts on it, David. So, what are your thoughts on it? I
Kevin,
mean,
Albert can comment as well. Let them have a say. I don't. I've said I'll speak again in a minute. Are they there?
Well, I, for
you,
one, don't need more complications in life because the company, then you're registering, you're giving away, complying with rules, policies of such. And for me, it's already endorsed, like, because these businesses, they can't contract with man. So that instrument is there as a representation of you being in some form of office anyway. So, that's how I play the game nowadays. And I say play the game.
Yeah, but that's it. You're knowingly doing it. You're using it to your advantage. It can be done. It's not. It's when you don't know what you're doing something. It's like you're being employed, but you don't know you're being employed. It's yeah, you're right. It's just there are advantages to
Well, I think a
knowingly.
lot of these companies nowadays, that's probably what they should be doing. If you're going to go for them for some servitude and get, like, remunerated for your time that you're putting in, if you're getting the PAYE, then it's not beneficial to them to even pay it because the subsidies they have to chip in is overwhelming to keep you on a salary paid kind of thing, PAYE. So moving away from that and then obviously being self-employed, but then it's more registrations, UTR numbers, it's all digits, all accounts. It's just messy whatever direction you go, isn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, we do need like Nigel Farage and his reform and whatever ideas he's got, Donald Trump and his reform and recreating of the administration there, and good luck to him. Maybe that's exactly what the beginning of change looks like. Who knows? But this archaic monetary system, the judicial system, the language, the calendars, it's just everything needs to go back to a more natural, balanced, transparent way. Like not many of us could articulate about money and how money works, mortgages, houses, loans, credit creation, etc. We should be able to, the fact that you have to pay for education. Why isn't that free? Why are students getting, why are we letting our blood get into debt for, how have we let this happen? Where will it stop? Because some years ago, when they first mentioned council tax or poll tax as it was then, they went absolutely apeshit. Barmy army. Having none of it. They did. Obviously, ultimately, it has led to where it's led to, but there was resistance. The miners' strikes. Yeah, there was resistance. There was society. Our society now, it's weakened and weakened off, hasn't it? So it's where will it stop? Where is it going? This is why we have a duty and an obligation to point out these fallacies, this misconception, the fact that Barclays are putting adverts on TVs talking about the relationship with money begins at 7. But yeah, they're lying because it isn't money, it's credit. So why? And they are a banking institution that are regulated and underpinned and have experiences in billions of pounds debt credits worldwide. So that's unforgivable. Then we've got regulation of the adverts that are put onto the mainstream advertising, media channels. Nobody's picked up on that, but they should have. They program us and they tell us things that we sometimes don't question. Like when I was little, I was all people, teachers mainly, that were throwing me out of class, said I was disruptive and that I'm cheeky and that I've got an answer for everything. And I need to go and sit outside or go to the headmaster's office and get good cane. Remember the cane? Oh yeah, a little rasp in the 80s. So there you go. It comes at a price, freedom. You'll find generally, mainly. So again, it's a question asking why narrative. That's gone. People just follow blindly. Hang on a minute. Just wait, here we go. Have you thought about anything else, or have you just blindly followed what you've been advised? All right then, and that's where it begins, isn't it? Your integrity, what we're told, isn't always what is, we find. money, religion, the two biggest ones, I suppose. You know, you where you are, what you're from. There's a lot of disclosure though, isn't there? It is leading its way out, but they're mixing it up with UFOs, UAPs, Go Fast, what is it, Gimbal, Go Fast, and something else, Tic Tac. You've got that Louis Elizondo from ATIP come out, and it's getting a bit messy and sticky, to be fair. I see that the narrative, the mainstream, the LGBTQ, yeah, I will keep saying it because it is a factor in our lives, and it's getting the narrative, the rhetoric, the agenda, the vernacular. Again, it's a form of governance, you know, subconscious, conscious governance. It's an interesting one when we talk about sovereignty and self-governance, retention of rights, identification of rights, how to hold somebody accountable if they impeach your rights, infringe. There's frontiers of sovereignty, self-governance, good governance. That's what I said. That just simply you stepping solitary to the private on your own isn't really going to achieve a great deal. It will get success and remedy and peace of mind and etc. in one way, but in another way, we can't afford to allow this shit show to continue in the way that it is so brazenly and blatantly. I yield. Let's look at the room. We need to have a common narrative, a household publication about this. The great British language, religion. For God, the title would be massive. We need to condense that, but the principles of sovereignty, or knowing self, self-worth, you know, what we are kind of involved in is like healthcare, because we found a virus, a plague, a disease that's eating us away from within. And most people don't know they're infected. And what we do is we come and help remove that parasitical fucking, you know, organism that's been with you and leeching from you all this time. In essence, you've been working for somebody, but you didn't know you was actually an employee. You thought you was free, but it turns out you wasn't free and that you was an employee. And all that time you was working, you didn't get paid. What a scam! In a nutshell, that's what's happened to us. We've been turned into worker ants working for the Queen, and Queenie didn't tell us that we was working for her. We just thought we was doing what was normal. We followed everyone else. We didn't ask questions. We didn't dare. We didn't think for ourselves. Oh no. We got the AI for that. The AI said it was all right, so we did it, you know, and then we ended up walking off a cliff, following a muck cart, thinking it was a wedding, thought, etc. So again, you can see how technology it's advancing man in some ways, but it's making us retarded in another way, less able to see, less able to question. The dexterity is going, the use it or lose it mentality applies in some way. So technology is not only costing the environment, the trees and certain things that they say, which it is not global warming topic, but the culling of the resources needed, the mining and the felling of wood, trees, habitat, species. It's real, isn't it? Yeah. And then the intelligence is going. So we just, yeah, it does seem that there is a clandestine, invisible force running in government, in trade, in commerce that is hell bent on destroying the planet by depleting its resources and poisoning every source of natural beauty, whilst using its inhabitants to do that work for them, which we're doing against our will, if we're honest, and we don't really like it. But we have to do it because we need them credits that we call money, that isn't money for, you know, paying the king's taxes. But why we have to, it's how we've let this happen. And what are, when before we take all of this down and out and leave a big hole, we intend to put something there in its place, an alternative, because that's obviously more harm than good. It might be better to leave the corrupt system in place than to take a corrupt system and then not have anything as an alternative to replace it with. See why they took our weapons off us now, because when we realise the truth, the first thing we'll be going for is the old exactly sawn off, etc. Firearms going down to Westminster. I see. Hoodwinked, eh? You stole my life. Kevin Albert, room.
Sorry, just Anne's just come back, so there was commotion with the dogs and everything. So I'm sorry, I was just see, it's Anne's fault. She's even admitting it now.
All right, all right.
I actually think Anne take lots of space in your life, Kevin. Yeah, you have to think about that.
she's she's the most prominent thing in my life, apart from the beasts.
Yeah.
That's about it. Oh, dogs are in trouble.
Well, that's an hour gone. That felt like a long hour, to be fair. It's 9:30. 60 minutes chomp through.
I didn't feel it dragged, but I was surprised when I looked up and thought, yeah, an hour already.
I'm just checking what time Anne was coming rolling back in at this time. Like, so
I
that's not.
know, dirty stop out she is. I don't know how I put up with it.
Now, 9:30's early. That's good. It's half
I,
10.
so
Oh,
that's right, love. I do love you. That's the reason. I remember
there you
now.
go. What have I done?
And she pays me. Was that in case you didn't hear it?
I was saying to my family, I went up with the G unit yesterday for a meal, and I was telling them about Yankee getting offers from the University of Sheffield, the University of Liverpool, and Cardiff. She's 18 in January, and she's been at sixth form for the last 2 years. And I can't, Adam and Eve, she wants to go and study law, legal areas, politics, and I'll just turn this down. Sorry, it's vibrate.
Fair play. Good luck
But
with her.
how is it? How is it like it's mostly Eastern people that are interested in education about laws and stuff like that, physics. How come it's mostly Eastern European people?
Because it's boring as fuck. I don't know why. No, that's a. I can't say that is for England. There is many in law in University of Sheffield. There's a big demographic. There may well be some, yeah, because and also a lot of the world travel to the best known academic outlets, and they are namely Eton, Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, MIT. There are certain names within the academic industry, aren't there? And then a lot you'll see that it's an unfair demographic because some will travel to England for certain named universities as well. So it's not the fact that they are Eastern; it's the fact that where the good or the higher the reputate, the more reputative. Yeah, that's the word. Where the reputation is strong, they travel to. And it's boring, it's confusing, it's good money, I suppose. I suppose parents do force not force. That's probably harsh. We'll leave that for the law society, the force of law. They're the ones that like to force stuff, whilst they accuse us of violating. They've never been violated, never been jelly bean. You've never seen violated yet. But I'm digressing. It's something which needs to be worked at with an amount of discipline that can easily be put into the bin or sidetracked, or I'll have a gap year and then I'll do that law thing when I come back from my gap year. But on that gap year, you go to Australia and got pregnant by Steve-O on a wild night out, so the rest is history. There's millions of reasons why, but I suppose the money, the cost, the discipline, and then the availability of it, the practicality of it My mum, obviously, I think, has been an influence to Yanka and a little bit of what we do. She said she wants to make a mark on the world and do something good and do something that will help people. Being a criminal prosecutor in Korea was a first aspiration, but I think she's honed in now to something more realistic. But she wants to help and do good with law.
Good luck to her.
Yeah, she'll need it, but can have somebody on the inside here, like for 10
Yeah,
years time, hey. She'll
exactly.
be
But then again, back to the question about the Eastern people there. Then they have been living under communism and everything there. Don't you think it is because they want to be like, no, it's not going to be like we are getting fooled again. Now we have to take back the knowledge. Don't you think it is like that? That they have that mentality? Because we sure as fuck don't have it here in Sweden. There's nobody that want to do anything. So it's like it is mostly certain families, and yes, and I have to say there is actually many from the Eastern Europe and also Eastern Arab countries, that is studying. But then again, we have the problem here that I'm not correct on these numbers, but every fifth lawyer educated here in Sweden, they are of foreign background, and yeah, 70% of them they are involved in illegal information to gangs and everything because they are involved in these families. So they're planting these people into the court system. So they are in the police, they are in the customers, they're everywhere because of this politics. Let them in, they have a good education from their homes, something. They didn't have that. But they have been getting good education here. So, yeah, that's also a way to see it.
I remember in the 80s, there was a lot of my mum's friends that were going to Germany and sleeping in containers because the German economy needed builders and there was no builders. There was there was a shortage of builders. Let me address that. So in some respects, England, from what I've seen, Anders, is just as much as a migratory let me think of the word advantage taker than any nation as well, because we've repeatedly gone in force in droves to other countries as migrant to take advantage and to work money, etc. It is a system there. People will use it as well. We look at that in all aspects of the society's establishments, institutions, and life. People do take advantage of systems blatantly. And sometimes you can't believe what you're seeing or reading. But again, it comes down to what you're talking about. There is people do are quite skeptical, like the fringes. We work on the fringe of what's happening and on the fringe topic. So it's like my family now know what Saturnalia is, whereas 5, 7 years ago they were like, "What the fuck you on about, Dave? Saturnalia? I've never heard of it." I'm like, "No, you haven't, but you're willingly partaking in the tradition and the festivities and the traditions of Saturnalia, but you don't know." So wouldn't you like to know what the fuck you're doing and who you're actually, why you're doing this, and certain things that this tradition holds near and dear. And it's that's just how it works, isn't it? Because we're on the fringes of it. At first, it's shock, horror, disbelief, denial, upset, anger. It's like the 7 stages of separation, and then hopefully your family come back round full circle and go, "Oh, do you know what, Kevin, Albert, Anders? Turns out you were right. You were right all along, weren't I, silly? But no, you never get that shit. They just leave you and call you a freak. Don't talk to Uncle Kevin anymore. He's a weirdo. He believes he's sovereign. What's all that about? Uncle Anders, don't talk to him. He told me money's not real. Don't talk to Albert. He doesn't believe in Santa Claus. He said the Santa Claus is in your brain. I said the Santa Claustrum, fool. Deary me. Yeah, it's in the brain. Okay. What was that? Christmas cracker joke time. Come on, someone's got some somewhere, surely.
Well, no, I haven't. Although we did, Anne and I did a box of crackers yesterday, but I can't remember any of the jokes. But I do remember they were fucking poor.
I'm about to reload. Let's see if there's any questions from the chat room. It's over to you, and then we'll let these tired old granddads retire for the evening, put their smoking jackets and slippers on, get their sherry, brandy, cognac, etc., cigars, and you can put your feet up, gentlemen. The pain is over. Let's see if there's anything from the room. Um, there is something in the pipeline with Cali Spell and some guests. I might go out to introduce to some new souls in the business of truth seeking. So that's interesting. Well behind with everything. It's been a bad year. I've had 4 jobs this year. That's how turbulent it's been through my own doing and having to then find workarounds to get back into secure employment. And knowing what we know, it's just so annoying, having to try and hold a job down, knowing that you need an income and then quitting it after passing probation successfully. It's just insane the stuff I've done this year. I'm not losing it, but I don't have the ability to work with dicks, to work with patronizing twats, to have a boss that's I'm cleverer and more knowledgeable than certain things and principalities that I uphold. It's not because I'm bigger and better than anybody. It's because I'm an idiot. It's because I'm the twat. I should keep learn to bite my lip. Be an easier life, but unfortunately I can't, and I have some principles as well, and massive conflicts and a big gob and I'm not so intelligent as what I think I am. So it ends up with having to find more employment because you've resigned again, David. Well done. So yeah, it's been quite, not as what I planned. How's your year's been? Stressful, profitable?
Have you resigned again, David?
No, not again. No, good Lord, no.
Oh, I was getting worried now.
It's just none of us want to do it. There are alternatives. We should be offered them. At least if we tell them, look, we know the game. You've hoodwinked us. We require this. Sort it out, or we're telling everyone. All right then, John. Come on. Done. That's all we're saying. It's as simple as that, really. Fucking hell.
Easy, isn't it?
Oh, another lot. We're getting more and more of you lot. Yeah. The things we've had to learn to be able to competently and articulately defend everything without having a book referencing citations. Kevin's just as an Albert, and with regards to acts, statute, legislation, offices, sprinklings of Latin. Yeah, it is. It's truly tremendous, and it's not as bad as what it seems in from the offset. when we look at it and we break it down, where we're going and how we're getting there, even though we're not there, is still, we're in a very good place. You're in a very good place. But our future is still very uncertain, especially with crazy world leaders and Biden taking the piss with the Middle East. Oh dear, yeah, and Trump itching to get in. It's going to be an interesting start to the year, and perhaps it might be a very, very warm one, hypersonically warm, brought to you with love from Russia and his friends in Korea. Fuck knows elsewhere what's going off, eh? Merry Crimbo. Oh Lord. Psychopaths and lunatics running the asylum. We have to start somewhere. The journey of 1,000 footsteps starts with one step. Obviously,
Indeed.
you know, wise man say. I watched a series called Severance that was very, very interesting that I can recommend. When we work in offices and when they walk in the office, they forget they've had a brain modification, so they forget about their outside life and they only have their office life active in the office. And then when they leave the office, they completely have a brain wipe and they know nothing about in the office when they leave, and then their outside life part of the brain comes on again. And it's just one of them, bit of a mind head swiveler, interesting, abstract science fiction. And I just thought, yeah, yeah, interesting food for thought. That will be coming soon. Except there'll be no leaving. You'll just be sat there in a pod being farmed because we are classified, products. It's rather macabre of me to mention, but when one of my partners passed and I were in the hospital after a miscarriage, when they come with the necessary paperwork to sign off everything for a certification, it says product of conception. And I questioned that many, many years ago. I'm like, what is a product of conception? Questioning everything, resisting authority, being upset and wondering why you would call a lost pregnancy, which is not something you want to be looking at anyway in that kind of tender state. So I was looking at it on behalf of the mother. And I was like, so we are classified as products. First-hand knowledge, you see, skin in the game. It's not just what we think we know, it's what we've seen and what we put together and what we assimilate collectively. Delivery room, products are delivered. Again, it's not by chance. And sometimes you if you haven't been immersed in this environment and you talk to somebody who is versed like we are, who has the eyes to see, who have the ability to open other people's eyes and lead them on the journey of 1,000 footsteps to truth. You will see along the way many things of which you've looked at time and time again, and they didn't seem out of the ordinary. But now you look at them and they jump out and slap you in the face with a wet kipper, and you're like, how did I not notice that before? Because you're under a spell, which is why it's like spelling the words, spelling when people say they're awake. I would say that you are now not under the spell. The language can be cursive text, curses, witches, covenants, cove, covenant, witches, cove, covenant, treaty. The words themselves, the association, the actual constitution of which they come from, the etymological and is important to some extent, but just the way that they've used and the choice of words. And like money is a great one with currency and electricity and charges. That's fantastic. Banks, debt, dead. When you're dead, you go for your eternal rest and you're put into the ground, so you're interested. So that's where interest does actually seem to stem from. When you lower the coffin into the earth, it is interred. So inter comes from interred. And as you are taking your eternal rest, you are going for your rest. So it's an interesting fact that I bring to you about the interest of banking and debts and charges. And when you die and your heart has, or when you have a heart attack and you're temporarily dead, deceased, clinically dead, and then they get their paddles and put them on your chest and arc the spark, and then they charge the dead back to life. So it's the language, rhetoric, and vernacular vocabulary as such is based on the mortal activities and the mortal practices. So whoever and however this language known as English, which is clues all around the world. There was the Polish word for work is automaton or automata or robotica, maybe. Robotica. So it's not just England that has the English language, the American English language, etc. You know that you will find these connotations in. It's like so to do it for one language is dark and deep, but to do it for all around the world, you know, that's not something that happened overnight, and that's to do with the energy, and which is why we focus a little bit on that. It's not something to dwell upon, but it does make you think, whoa, these people are dark. This is deep. This is long game, you know, and to see the savagery, starting with pensioners, winter credits. Nobody's immune from the totalitarian tiptoe of the macabre Club of Rome, which at the minute, the beloved wanker known as Keir of the family Starmer is leading. I yield. Kevin's muted because he's coughing with laughter. Tears of laughter. If not, you're muted, lad. Anders, Albert.
Yeah, I was just quietly choking.
I could tell you went a shade of beetroot.
Faded into my top. Went the same colour.
Rasta man.
But do you find it interesting now when they have this disclosure of the American plasma ships? When they say plasma is the most important thing. Remember what we have been doing with the GANs, what effect plasma has there. And remember when our friend Ahura Mazda was telling us that he could make an umbrella, and under that umbrella you wouldn't be touched by any water or wind or temperature differences. So I find that quite amazing, you know, when it comes out now, the things they have been building.
Military industrial complex and Lockheed Skunk Works and what's the other one called now? There's another guy that's got his own, the Bigelow Aerospace and DARPA. Holy shit, yeah, the mind boggles what they're doing. But plasma also is the is mentioned as the fourth state of energy, isn't it, as well? Gas, solid, liquid, and plasma. Um, Technologies, yeah, that we are eons behind with, but the government's obviously using and weaponizing in the military industrial complex, private enterprises and corporations working with contracts, shadow contracts. Yeah, but it's yeah, I'm still using the GANs. I've got it in the fridge. I've still got it in my water jug. I haven't had any bad side effects from it. It hasn't leaked anywhere. I did enjoy those experiments, and I do think it's a beneficial product, item, substance to have.
Yeah, yeah, people they should learn how to do it because I don't remember, and I have all the stuff, you know, but I don't remember how to do it. But it's with everything else, you know. It is the same with the ladies. I don't remember how to do it with them anymore either, you know. You're growing in the phases. You're into interested in other stuff, you know. But deep down, of course, I could put it together, you know. But it's not like it's easy. No, it's going to be, how the fuck did I do that? You know. But you only have to figure things out. But what I mean, it's important that everybody they are curious, that everybody they are trying something. If it's colloidal silver or whatever it is, you know, try it out. Learn how to do these stuff. You know, learn how to bake. You know, it's all this stuff. You know, basic stuff. And that comes with that intelligence, like I'm talking about what the Eastern European people have. You know, they have intelligence. They know how things works. You know, it's not like they've only been reading through a small pamphlet. No, they really go into the subject. And yeah, because it's curiosity also, and it comes together with our freedom, you know. So yeah,
Agreed, yeah. Ask questions, be inquisitive, be intuitive and inquisitive. Curiosity apparently did kill the cat, but I think that's just a saying to warn us off being curious and to looking into putting our noses into places which don't belong.
yeah.
Did you hear about the cat? I don't care about that cat. What the fuck's going on in here? Shut up about the cat. Kevin, you're muted just out of curiosity in case you're speaking.
No, I was just kept having a coughing fit, so I thought I'd best leave it muted for the moment.
Have you got a raspy little
So,
tickler going off there as well for Christmas then? I have too.
yeah, it's not been, yeah, nothing really to write home about, but it's, yeah, and it seems to flare up a couple of times a day and then disappears again. It's very strange, but yeah, right at the right at the top of my lungs.
Does it burn? Is there any heat there?
No, I haven't had any of that.
All right.
Just
Don't know
a
you
just
will.
a niggly, and no real reason for it. It's not like I'm feeling ill or got a cold or anything
The
like that.
temperature.
So
Yeah,
I
me
don't know.
neither. I haven't. I'm fit as a fiddle, but I've just got a bit of a blocked sinus and
Yeah,
phlegmy chest. Bob
who
Fleming.
knows what they're spraying us with, mate?
Love.
Respiratory disorders. Our order of the day.
Yeah, can't see the room now. I'm back in. Remember to exercise your muscle of introspection, said Lisa. To read that twice then. I'm like, intro what? What is that? Yeah, I said it right. We had Tony Blair, the lying bastard. Now we now have Keir Starmer, the cruel back to front. Back to front rhymes with Vive Revive, Lisa Gray. Leave my lights alone. Let's see, I'm scrolling up.
Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling.
What do you do? Yeah, and they abbreviate it. What do you do? I answer, I inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, says Lisa. Yeah. Where are you from? I used to say, my mum. I'm from my mum because I didn't want to tell people I was from somewhere else to the place I was living. So to keep it real. How'd you get here? Down the A38, down the M1 or something. That's another good one as well at work. How do you get here? People just, yeah, when they speak, they forget how to articulate and what parts of a conversation are required to make it clear and transparent that you might be asking a question and why you're asking that question. To get the correct information, you need to ask the correct question with all the parts of the question intact. Adjectives, verbs, nouns, pronouns, your syllable, you know the ones. I've assumed all of James's duties. Oh, bless.
Yeah, love to do as it was without doing it all by yourself. What a nightmare.
We call you Thunder Thighs now, Lisa. Old Thunder Thighs there. The graph that's been going down. She's got lean. Meanest, leanest, cleanest. Have you seen this? Biggie Smalls popped out there. Have a great new year. No, I need to cook and eat. I'm feeling a bit peckish, actually. We could look to wrap
Yeah,
up.
I've got to eat, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I want some food.
Yeah, and I want to say a happy birthday, David, from us all here,
Happy
because it
birthday.
was, yeah, you had birthday on the 23rd.
No, not me. My birthday's in May.
Fucking yay. I gonna kill someone there at Telegram. They were sending me, oh, it's David's birthday now. You want to give him 3 months premium subscription? Of course I do.
Oh, I put my date of birth in randomly when I joined Telegram, maybe.
Oh my God.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
thank you,
yeah,
Anders.
okay. Yep.
I'll take it.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Yeah, yeah. Use it well, David. Use it for promotion and everything. You know, there's
Yeah,
good in
you've just bejazzled my Telegram.
Jazzled.
it. Pimp my Telegram.
Ooh, sparkly. I'm just checking the room, see if there's any interaction, questions, comments. Have you got any closing thoughts, gentlemen? Christmas cracker jokes? You killed on that.
Well,
Not
I've got, you know, just want everybody to remember it might not be 12 inches, but it smells like a foot.
What? Bob Fleming here. He killed me, literally killing me. Everyone's laughing. That's all good. We'll end it on a high. We'll be back in the new year with more updates, shenanigans, chivalry, shamrocks, and shenanigans. Thank you to Albert and to Kevin and to Anders for joining this crazy fool, man like David. Thank you to the chat room. Thank you. Thank you to what is his name, Metatron, that looks after the Indigos, I believe it is. Archangel Metatron. Sounds like a character from Transformers. You're right, but it isn't that one. That's Megatron. You're thinking of. Metatron is somebody else. It's a nice little geometric shape. Circles, triangles, you know the one. Thank you to all. We're here for a reason. You're sticking around for a reason. Let's see how we're going to survive 2025. It's going to be a good, interesting one. Might be
Once
another
more
long
under
one,
the breach.
isn't it? We're not putting up with this crap. Let's see.
Nice one. Love to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
And we will
good
be back
night.
very soon.
Yeah, take care all.
Lisa,
Thanks for
massive
joining.
love to you. Prayers to James. Send him our regards and love, and hope he feels better. Just to
Yeah.
repeat that, he deserves it. so do you. You need some support as well, Lisa. Got a lot on your plate, as if your life ain't tough enough in that neck of the woods.
Stay away from Anchorage.
Gun. She has a gun. She will survive. She's a tough woman.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Right, so much love,
Night,
boys. Chat room. Let's do
yeah.
this.
Night, Albert. Night, Anders.
Night,
See you
guys.
soon.
Yeah. Take care. Speak
Much
soon.
love to everybody.
Ciao bello. Ciao bella.
See you,
Arrivederci.
Dave.